Welcome back, Officers Republic. It's your Coruscant Underworld Police Chief APGAINS. We're going to talk about when is the most efficient time for you in your own personal journey to farm the Profundity. Now, this is going to go in the Farming Guides playlist, so if you want access to the greatest free-to-play farming guide of all time, it's going to be there. You want to know when to specifically farm each of the Galactic Legends to be most efficient, when to get the Executor versus the Profundity. What are the core 8 teams that make up every good early game account? The auxiliary teams to help boost you into the mid-game, and the backbone teams to help boost you from the mid-game to the end game. If you guys want all the best information on farming in Galaxy of Heroes, it's going to be in this playlist, so I appreciate your guys' time. We're going to talk the Profundity. So the Profundity just came out, and I think saying that it's the best ship in the game is a little bit of an understatement. Like Van Seal, my good friend, and soon to be apparently PP Podcast co-host, it's JMK with wings. If you guys remember when JMK Cat was stomping around pre-Lord Vader, pre-Datacrons, pre-Omicrons, it was nasty. It was unbeatable. It was annoying. It was frustrating. But that's where I come in. You guys, if you follow this playlist, I guess, will know what the best stuff is, when to farm it at the appropriate time, so that you can be the person with JMK with wings. And you won't really have to worry about your opponents unless, and this is a tried and true strategy in Galaxy of Heroes, they spend tens of thousands of dollars. But this will be a free-to-play guide to getting the Profundity, so let's get started. So the requirements are pretty standard, and actually not that bad if you think about it. The big hiccup for a lot of people is Relic 8 Cassian, Relic 9 Admiral Raddus. I actually do not think this is too bad. I get a lot of people like, oh, well, you know, I'm going to Relic 9 my Raddus anyway, and then there's the people who are like, well, I don't want to be told to Relic 9 my Raddus when I don't have to. I actually like this. If you guys don't know, the Admiral Raddus Rogue One team is a very important team in punching from the mid-game to the end game. It is a backbone team. It is quite good, and having Relic 9 doesn't hurt, and you're going to do it for the ship anyway. Cassian will get an Omicron soon. Fingers crossed it's not the 4 worst words in Galaxy of Heroes while in Territory Wars. If it's a Galactic, a Grand Arena Championship Omicron, I'll be ecstatic. I think that's going to be announced in about 2 weeks. Dash Rendar is one of the, he's part of a backbone team as well, and an amazing pilot, and an amazing Relic 7. He also has a Datacron that's coming up, and I know a lot of us don't like to talk about Datacrons because they just, oh man, the Holy Spirit does not flow through them. His Datacron is amazing, and he's just a generally amazing character. Now, Mothma is a Relic 5, which is an overlap, but a lot of people, you know, maybe don't have JML, and that's totally fine, right? We're going to talk about maybe, possibly, probably getting the Raddus, or I guess Admiral Raddus's Profundity before JML, which will stir up some things for a lot of people, but we'll still talk about it. And then Bist and Jyn, so Harris and Dula, and then all of the ships are pretty standard. If we compare those to the Executor requirements, because I feel like a lot of the when to farm the Profundity is going to be in relation to, do you have Executor? Have you started your Executor farm? Have you done other farms that overlap with the Executor, maybe make it faster? Or have you done farms that overlap with the Profundity to make it faster? So it's really going to be kind of this back and forth comparison between the two ships. Now, the Profundity, I will admit, is way better. I mean, we've seen low investment 4-star Profundities, basically full autoing with no reinforcements, maxed out 7-star Executors, and the Executor has shown, while it can beat the Profundity on defense, it's not as reliable as the Profundity beating Executor. And if we talk about this, I don't know if the Profundity requirements will take that much longer, and I'll talk about why. So the Executor, for comparison, is a lot of the less than useful bounty hunters like Dengar, IG-88, and is it really just Dengar and IG-88? I guess so. Well, I guess Relic 5 Cad Bane's a requirement for JMK, but his ship is required. So Vader, Admiral Piet, Bosk, and then the TIE Fighter. So here's the thing. While it is technically faster to get the Executor requirements, I actually am starting to believe that getting the Profundity before it is going to be a good play, because we're going to directly compare and contrast the requirements and the time it takes, because at the end of the day, that's what we're going to talk about. Relic 7 Darth Vader is something that most people will have. Relic 8 Piet is very nice to have because he does help out quite a bit with the Imperial Trooper team, which is a very important auxiliary team. Boba Fett to Relic 8 is a little stiff. Dengar IG-88 is heartbreaking. This is kind of in the line with the Rogue One requirements, but in a different way, and I'll talk about in just a second, so stay tuned for that. Boss Get Relic 5 is pretty standard. It's something you're going to have. The Pilot at 5 is a little tragic, but, it's good for the ship, and then all the ships. Here's the thing. While I do believe the Executor is a little bit better, I think the requirements for the Profundity are objectively better, and I think this is likely going to be something that you should go for before the Executor. It's kind of like when JMK first came out. I was hammering the table like, hey guys, like I know it's slightly faster to go for C or SLKR or even possibly JML and Ray, but I really think that the way that, what is it called? The skill curve. Why it's not the skill. Why am I talk about this all the time. Why can I not remember it? The power creep. The way the power creep works in this game, I think the power creep of, in that instance, JMK, and now in this instance, the Profundity, I think the power creep is higher than the additional requirements to farm, right? Like if you're getting this much value for time and requirements and skill of the Executor, I believe that the power creep puts the total, time, money, will to live, all that stuff. I think the power creep puts the Profundity enough above the Executor to where it's worth a couple extra months to get that R8, R9, a couple extra requirements here and there. I think it is going to be worth it for a lot of people. Plus, we haven't even talked about the fact that most of the ships that you use for the Profundity will likely be used on the HOM-1, and I think we're pretty confident that Red 5 is going to come soon and help boost the HOM-1 fleet. You're effectively farming 2 fleets at the same time, which cannot be said for the Executor. And now I know the Executor is very good. It's been destroying people for a year. It's nice to remember how much we hate the Executor. Like how I said how much we hate the Executor, and I looked up at something that I hate, little APGAINS lore. I have a picture of Ben Simmons on my wall to remind me not to be a fat, lazy piece of shit. That being said, I think with the power creep, the same way that JMK was so much better than SLKR, C, JML, and Ray, that it was worth the extra investment, I think the Profundity has all of those same characteristics. Calling it JMK with wings is not a stretch at all. As to when we should actually start farming it, I still believe that we should go core 8, a couple of, our auxiliary teams, right? And then I think it really depends. I think it's one of those situations where when we talk about how to farm SLKR, if you want to watch that video, I'll link it right here for you to watch later. If our ships are really struggling, like we don't have a single get to fleet, I would previously say, maybe farm SLKR because you're going to get a big boost in ships, and then you're going to get like a top 3 like flexible offense defense GL, right? If you had the good fleets, if you had a good get to plus, a good rebel fleet with some good GOs, and then, maybe a good whatever, or like a small team somewhere, but your fleets were solid, going for JMK is probably the best play. And I still think that going JMK into Profundity is probably going to be the right move for most people. Now, there are certain circumstances. Not everyone starts their account from scratch, builds up exactly in the most efficient way, and our accounts look all over the place. So a lot of that does come down to, what your account looks like at this particular time. And if you want specific help and you're feeling lost pretty much every night, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I think that's 8 Eastern, we do roster review live streams. You can come out, ask questions. We can take a deep dive into what your actual account looks like and help you do that stuff. But I think if you're already in an efficient account, right, you have your core 8, a couple of auxiliary teams, you should still go JMK Cat, because Cat's in Proving Grounds. As much as we hate Proving Grounds, it's better than a character like, I don't know, like Big Titty Goth Girlfriend Ray, who isn't even in Conquest yet. And then I think Profundity probably shoes in and replaces Executor as that second big farm that you should go for. Of course, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Join the Discord if you want to talk more. Big shout out to the Patreon, the patrons on Patreon, obviously. All of these videos have been sponsored by you guys. You guys are the only reason that I didn't quit YouTube over a year ago, so thank you guys so much. But that being said, as always, I love you, and I'll see you later.